Hey, Jules Bless Vegan, and thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're safe in terms of all the wicked weather taking place in our country right now. Oh my gosh, we are being hammered in California, and I'm so sorry for the people in the burn areas. That's not my case right now. We've had fires before, but right now in the high desert, it is just a lot of rain, some flash flooding, of course, and beautiful snow on the very, very local mountains. I mean, I can see it from my playground, right? At school. So I just love that. It's just crazy beautiful. But as much as I rejoice, I always have to pray for those in difficult situations as a result of these storms, which haven't even stopped. So we'll see how that plays. I'm just taking care of all of my animals, and my horses are standing in water, which I don't favor, but God's on the case. This will be brief, and we'll be so happy to have the water, when we need it. So anyway, I hope you're safe. I want to talk about affirmations. I believe that action, literal action, no matter what, trumps just affirming something. But I do believe that positive affirmations that are consistently said can most definitely change a mindset and lead to better choices. And so for me right now, so many times in my body, I haven't felt safe. People were abusing it. I've certainly abused it, sometimes just in response to that abuse. I always feel like I'm marked with, a sign on my forehead that says, "Hi, yes, please use and abuse me." It's tragic, but it has been true for much of my life. It's not true today. I have the most loving husband ever, and I feel very safe. But whenever there's a freak of the week out in public, they find me. That's just, I don't know. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So I just wanted to talk about two things regarding that. So for me, I want to just continuously affirm right now that I release the need for excess weight. I release the need for excess weight. I release the need for excess weight. How has excess weight served me? I'll have to say that when I got trampled on my abdomen by my horse, and none of my organs were damaged per se, that padding helped. And when I got bit in the arm, if my arm had been thinner, like it's going in that direction now, it probably would have broken my arm. So can't say that the weight hasn't helped me. In terms of being safe though, no. Even when I was 300 pounds, there were dudes on the hunt for me because some people like fat chicks, right? So when I thought I was patting myself for safety, I was only attracting a whole other group of warped individuals. So yeah, that's never been safe for me. But I release the need for excess weight is one that I say. My body is healthy, strong, lean, and I am safe. And those are just like two that come to mind that I've been trying to affirm. So I'm trying to find this quote. One moment, please. Technical difficulties. No, I have this really great quote, and it says, "Never discredit your gut instinct. You are not paranoid. Your body can pick up on bad vibrations. If something deep inside you says something is not right about a person or situation, trust it." And I so get that. No offense to men, and if there are men on this site, welcome. I love it. But just to the history, right? The history. From the fact that history is his story, his story, as if women didn't exist. One thing that they often hold against women is referencing them as hysterical, right? For years, hysterical was a term every time a woman had an emotion or acted out in any way other than totally subservient. She was hysterical, out of control and crazy. And from hysterical led to hysterectomies because they decided that the root of all evil stemmed from the, dare I say the word, vagina in some way, which could go back all the way to Adam and Eve. I mean, my gosh, right? They used to actually think that there was that the womb, and this was back in I think it was actually like 2000 BC. I mean, a long time ago, that the womb had an animal that was running loose, affecting organs in the body. Like all problems with women derive from their menstrual cycle and anything to do with that region. Like, really, people? But yeah, I mean, it's been going on for years, except for now, people recognize that men have a cycle and that men can be PMSing. Gotta love that. But anyway, so never discredit your gut instinct. You are not paranoid. Your body can pick up on bad vibrations. If something deep inside of you says something is not right about a person or situation, trust it. And some of us are even more hypervigilant, like me. I mean, all of my life, I've had that terrible, terrible instinct. I can see children's inner child. I can see people's auras. It's a lot of responsibility. I don't tune into it too much because I try and be a God person, but presuming any of that's from God, it's very true for me. And I'll just tell you one instance. So when I was in college, I was staying in the apartments on campus, and they didn't have a door. They had sliding glass doors for each of the apartments. And this guy came up and he wanted to sell me a plastic tree. And, you know, it was up in the California redwoods and it was cold most of the year and rainy. And that plastic tree looked real. And I was like, heck yeah, that could really wake up my little apartment. So it was like $10. It turned out that he had sold that and stole it back from several people to buy like a bag. I think it's called like a dime bag of marijuana or something. And so he sold it to me. So great. I put it in my humble little apartment. And then I went down to visit my sister for the weekend, which was about 70 miles away. So I was at my sister's and we were both sharing a bed on the living room floor. And I was breathing in my sleep, you know, sporadically, just out of control breathing. And my sister was like pushing me and going, Julie, Anna, stop it. And I'm like, what? And she's going, you're breathing crazy. Stop it. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm asleep. I'm sorry. So I fell back asleep. And then the same erratic breathing was going. And then as she was trying to shake me and she couldn't shake me out of it, I jumped up and I yelled, Eric, as loud as I could. And she was like, who the heck is Eric? I mean, what the fruit? You're out of control, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is stealing his tree from my apartment. And she's like, what? And I said, yeah, he's trying to break into my sliding glass door because he wants that tree back. She's like, go to bed. You are like losing your mind. Somehow I eventually fell back asleep. But when I got back 70 miles to my apartment, there was police tape across my sliding glass door. And it was off the hinges. And everybody was, you know, talking in the whole apartment complex that Eric had been arrested. And that he had attempted to break into my apartment to steal my tree, to steal the tree back. And so the manager asked the police, well, what happened? I mean, why didn't he get in? It's not that hard to jimmy these off the rails, you know? And they said, well, apparently he didn't know that she was home. And so while he was trying to jimmy it off, he heard her scream his name. And he was so startled by it, he took off. That is a true story. And that is just like one of the times that I have traveled in my sleep and that time to protect myself. So, you know, it's pretty interesting. I do try and trust my gut, but when I realize that I'm not trusting my gut is my own like fear and insecurity. I honestly, as I get older, I'm realizing how little power people had over me and how often I would choose to cater to whatever it was. And sometimes it's manipulation. Like, and I'm thinking about eating, you know, trying to adapt to this vegan lifestyle and raw vegan lifestyle in particular. I know when I'm setting myself up to fail. I mean, if I want to be honest, I know when I'm setting myself up to fail. I manipulate the people around me, which isn't that hard to do. And God bless them. It's not even their problem. It's because they don't have the same problems that I do. My husband wasn't raised with an eating disorder. Yeah, he ate a lot. And he was a heavy guy for most of his life. But nobody ever told him that it was wrong. And nobody ever shamed him for it. Nobody. No one ever called him fat or nothing. It's a little different sometimes for guys. He was a football player. He was considered, his weight was advantageous for him in some way. He wrestled and did football, and he could put away large quantities of food. But for a girl like me on drill team, no. You better learn how to put your fingers down your throat and throw up the excess because you can't wear it, right? So he didn't have any of those issues with me. So when I would manipulate him into saying, oh, God, I don't know if I should eat that, ... with my, eyelashes going, well, you should have a little. I'm so full of it. You know what? Eat it or don't. And he would get to that point finally in our relationship where it was just like, Juliana, stop the game playing. Do you want the dang thing or don't you? Just eat it. Like, there's no one here. There's no parent here. I'm not criticizing you. Just eat the dang food or don't. But it was really interesting. The other day we went out and we went to a place that had a salad bar, most certainly. And so I went for broke on the salad bar and I didn't even put dressing on it, and it was lovely. And then I was feeling super compulsive because I can't stand, one, not having a plan, and two, being around cooked food. So I got up and I went and got another plate of food, which wasn't salad, I'll just put it that way. And I sat down and my husband looked at it and he just said no. And I was like, what? And he's like, no, you're not eating that. And I go, what? You're not going to control my food? Like the whole inner child fit throwing. And he said, you know what, Juliana, you are so happy. Like, this is how awesome. You are so happy with your vegan way of eating. And it has been such a blessing for you. You don't want that food. He's like, just push that plate aside. And I'm all, well, but wait, I'll be wasting it. So bad. And he's like, no, just put it aside. The waitress won't care. And go get what you feel good about eating, because that's not it. And I was just like, wow, that was totally God speaking through my husband. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. And even when I came home from that drill team reunion and I was in such a funk, in a bad frame of mind, we didn't talk about it. And even the next day we didn't talk about it. And finally he just said, what happened? Like, normally you'll come home and tell me all the great things. You didn't even talk about that reunion. What happened? And so I was able to kind of elaborate and tell him what my thought process was and what was going on. And you know what? The beauty of him, he was like my first relationship, and meaning my first intimate relationship that I chose rather than being raped or anything, right? Or abused. And I chose him because he was so loving and completely accepting and appropriate. And that's how our whole relationship has been. And I love that. But I would put things on him that didn't belong to him. Like for the whole first 2 years of living together, I would jump and scream constantly, which was so sad. But as a child, I was hit so much that I would constantly do this, even in class, and no teacher questioned it. But if a teacher would walk by, and kids would tease me, and they'd say, Juliana, and they'd make me flinch all the time, because I never knew when I was going to get hit. And it was hard for me to trust my gut because people would tell me that I was wrong. Unless psychically, I of course would prove so many things, like that fire I mentioned in a different video. So many times psychically I could prove that it was true. But I've had to kind of get back in touch with my gut, especially as I'm not anesthetizing myself with food. I have a lot of things coming at me every minute. And it was too much for my father and my brother, who chose to self-medicate, because my entire family has this psychic intuition. But I want to embrace it, and I want to read this one more time. Never discredit your gut instinct. You are not paranoid. Your body can pick up on bad vibrations. If something deep inside of you says something is not right, or a person or situation, trust it. It's a lot to think about. I just wanted to process that with you guys. So I'm going to stay with, I release the need for excess weight. My body is strong, healthy, and lean, and I am safe. And then, just go from there. I'm going to share some more affirmations tomorrow that are really good ones to think about in the morning. But for right now, I think I'll just leave it with this gut thing. This was secondary, but it's so important to me, I'm going to leave it. So as usual, like if you like, trust, please join us if you haven't, and please share in the comments so I can support you. And until we talk again, be blessed.